Hey, everybody. I'm John Cormanick, the CEO and head coach at John R. Cormanick Coaching. And today is not about working harder, it is about understanding the internal variables that quietly determine how your law firm actually scales. When those variables go unexamined, firms continue to perform, no doubt, but at a cost founders rarely see until later. My goal today is to make that cost visible, to have you feel it. Whether you act on what lands with you today or not, well, that is 100% up to you. Let's dive in. The firm is performing, but the founder is constrained. This is a pattern I see most often with successful founders. The firm is performing, revenue is solid, if not maybe a little plateaued. Clients are happy, the team is capable, and yet the founder feels increasingly constrained, not by a lack of effort, but by proximity, by being in it. The same beliefs and decisions and their patterns that built the firm now limit the founder and the firm's strategic range. Nothing is broken. Let's be clear. Absolutely, positively, nothing is broken. But something important is no longer scaling. As a law firm founder, managing partner, CEO, you may have a KPI dashboard that you come in and check daily, at least weekly, with all of the key performance indicators for your law firm. We measure everything, all the important things there, except for the one variable that's driving it all: the founder's inner state, the founder's emotion, the founder's energy. When I say inner state, I want you to know I'm not talking about emotion or mood. It's not what I'm talking about. When I say energy, I'm not talking about enthusiasm, whether you get up and rah-rah your team or not. That's not what I'm talking about when I talk about energy. Those of you who have seen me before know this. Those of you who are new here, let me explain. When I'm talking about energy, it's not emotion or mood. It's attitudes, perceptions, and beliefs. It's the attitudes, perceptions, and beliefs of you that you're carrying into every decision you make. Decisions about how big of a box you and your law firm play in. What does the playing field look like? Is it constrained? Is it large? Decisions and attitudes, perceptions, and beliefs about yourself as the CEO, as the founder, your capabilities. A little bit of imposter syndrome, a little bit of fear. Attitudes, perceptions, and beliefs about your team. Do you trust them? Do you delegate appropriately? Do you believe in them? Do you lead them in a way that they believe in you? That inner state, attitudes, perceptions, and beliefs, determines what you notice, what you tolerate, and what you decide to act on or ignore. And those decisions shape your behavior. Behavior shapes systems. Systems produce outcomes. That's not new. You're not hearing systems produce outcomes for the first time here. I don't believe that. You know this, but you have to rewind yourself and think about, what decisions am I making in what lens, what attitudes, perceptions, and beliefs am I looking at this situation through? because that drives your behavior. It drives the systems. It drives the outcomes. Now, most founders try to change the outcomes directly. They focus on the actions and the results, the A and the R, through metrics, leveraging human capital, which is hiring people, changing people's roles to have them more readily fit what the founder, managing partner, CEO of the law firm believes is the right fit, the right seat on the bus for the person, or the outcomes as far as the internal lens, right? The metrics, the hires, the incentives. How do I motivate my team, right? Let me go back. We're doing this live, so let me reset here. Most founders try to change the outcomes directly. They focus on the actions and the results. Metrics, hires, incentives, without examining the internal lens driving all of those decisions. They focus outward as opposed to inwardly. They ignore thoughts and feelings. And because they ignore thoughts and feelings, the actions and results always revert. They will revert back. They have to, because all human beings operate on thoughts that drive feelings, that drive actions, that drive results. If you focus on the actions and the results, they're going to revert. They can't help but do it because you have to focus on the thoughts first. What lens are you looking at the situation through? Now, how your inner state converts into outcomes. Let's talk about this for a minute. When I say inner state, again, I'm not talking about your emotion or your mood. I'm talking about your attitudes, perceptions, and beliefs, right? What are you focused on? You carry those with you into every decision that you make. The inner state determines what you notice, what you tolerate, and what you decide. So, this is an important point. What I am talking about here today is not about issues that come about from a lack of effort. My goodness gracious. You're a founder, you're a managing partner, you're a CEO of a law firm that you created yourself out of nothing, or you created with a few partners like I did back in 2006, or you've bought into another law firm, right? You do not lack effort. You are somebody who's hungry for it. You want to dive in, right? But they're decision patterns that are rooted in outdated perceptions and beliefs. Let's talk about these. The first outdated perception and belief is making decisions to maintain stability instead of direction. What do I mean by that? Hey, things are going great. Let's just keep going. We don't want to rock. We want to think a little bit bigger, but we don't want to rock the boat too terribly much. There's too much to lose. We maintain stability. Stability feels responsible. We crave as human beings the status quo. Stability feeds into that. We maintain stability because it feels responsible. Direction, changing direction, even a little bit, feels risky. But when stability becomes the default lens, progress slows, even while the firm looks healthy. Progress slows. You may be at or approaching or beginning a plateau. You don't recognize it while you're in it. It's like the frog in the pot, right? How do you cook a frog? They say. I don't cook frogs, but how do you cook a frog? When you keep it from jumping out of the pot, you put it in at room temperature and you slowly turn the water up. It doesn't even know it's being boiled. And the same thing happens with you. The firm looks healthy, but it is not going where you want it to go. The second is remaining the point of resolution. If you've heard me talk before, you've heard me use this phrase. You are the bottleneck. If you're at the hub of the wheel, if you remain the point of resolution, oh, we got to check with John on this thing. If you remain at that point, that is holding you back, right? That is an outdated mindset. Originally, as a solo or a small law firm, you had to be involved in every decision, every resolution. You don't anymore. And you stay there not because no one else is capable, but because you still believe that proximity equals resolution, equals quality. That's what you believe. You believe proximity equals quality. So issues keep finding their way to you, back to you. Oh, I thought I was done. You're Al Pacino in Godfather 3. Just when I'm out, I think I'm out, they pull me back in, right? They find their way back to you even when they shouldn't. And the third is mistaking presence for leadership. Being in the room feels useful. Oh, well, I have to be there, don't I? No. Leadership at this stage isn't about your presence. It's about what no longer requires your presence. That's the key. What no longer requires your presence. None of these three things are failures. Making decisions to maintain stability instead of direction, remaining the point of resolution, and mistaking presence for leadership. None of these are failures. They're beliefs that once worked. They got you here to being successful. And now they quietly cost more than they deliver. I had a conversation with a founder of a law firm last week. He's a client. And we wound up talking about his performance as a leader. How did he need to be different to take his firm to the next level that he wants to take it to? And we were having a discussion and we were talking about kind of his daily, what his weeks look like, what his days look like. And he mentioned that he was no longer very good at attending the team stand-ups. Over the past 3 months, I kind of let those slide, is what he said. 10-minute stand-up every day. And I asked him, why do you think that is? He said, well, when I go on vacation, I'm not as good, or, I've had some things come up and I guess I just haven't prioritized it. And he thought that I was going to say, well, you need to grind harder to make sure that you do that. Put it on your calendar, time block, commit to it. I didn't do any of those things. I did not do any of those things. I said, tell me this. Why are you going to that meeting? What value do you add? And he was shocked. He said, I didn't expect that question, John. And I let him sit with it. I said, tell me. So tell me, think about it. Tell me. Well, I guess I go so that I feel engaged. Okay, fair. What's another reason you might go? Well, I think I go so that I feel useful. And I think I might go so that the team knows I'm engaged. At the end of the day, he had no business being at a 10-minute stand-up, a daily 10-minute stand-up. Absolutely, positively no business being there. He continued to go because he had gone in the past. And when he first built his team, he felt it important. And he got some juice out of it, right? He got maybe a little bit of respect, maybe being the smartest guy in the room, maybe being the driver of the agenda. And that created stability, not direction, for his team. And he was still the answer guy. Well, what do you think we should do? And he mistook his presence for leadership. So all of those things, those three things were in this one little important evolutionary conversation that he and I had. No reason for him to be there. So at the end, I challenged him. I said, you get one stand up a week. You get to make it an additional 5 minutes, so 15 minutes. Other than that, your team drives a direction. See how they do. You're always available to go back in if you need to be, but your team should be driving that 10-minute stand up, not the CEO of a multi-state, multi-million dollar law firm. One of the hardest things for founders to see is the cost of their own competence. Yes, the cost. When you're highly capable, things keep working, even when the system is inefficient. Your competence fills the gaps for your team. They don't have to perform at a super high level if you're still there. Your competence absorbs friction. Well, you know what? We'll just give it to John. He'll take care of it. John, can you take care of this thing? John, can you resolve this conflict? John, we're having the system's breaking down. Your competence hides weakness in the structure. So long as you're there, your structure isn't truly pressure tested, right? And the firm doesn't feel broken. So the cost of that, of your competence, stays invisible, right? But that cost truly does show up everywhere. For you, it shows up in decision fatigue. You get tired of making decisions. Why do I have to make the decision? Why can't the team do it? They're coming to me again. If you're thinking they're coming to me again, I'm here to tell you that's not a them problem. That's a you problem. That's a leadership issue. Your competence and the fact that you're present more than you ought to be results in reduced strategic range. You can't think big when you're in the weeds. When you're on the dance floor, you don't have the view from the balcony. I'll give you another one. If you're on the field, you can't see the entire thing, right? And it results in your constant proximity to the work. And the work is comfortable. The work makes you feel good. The work may align with your identity, your perceived identity. I'm a lawyer. Of course, I have to be close to the work. Competence isn't the problem. It's that unchecked competence prevents the system from telling you the truth. You cannot be strategic and limited at the same time. And when I say limited, I'm not talking about intelligence or effort. Again, I'm not talking about that. You work hard. You are smart. I get it. I'm talking about a limited perspective. When your attitudes, perceptions, and beliefs narrow what you can see. In that state, especially when you're under stress, you have tunnel vision. You see the thing in front of you. You don't see secondary and tertiary consequences, right? In that state, your decisions are constrained by immediacy. I got to fix this. I got to get rid of the pain. You optimize for what's in front of you instead of designing for what comes next. Strategy requires a range. It requires the ability to see those secondary and third order effects. If your internal lens is limited by being too close to the work, even in a profitable firm, strategic thinking simply isn't available. You can't do it. And it's not your fault. It's your biology. That's how we are built as human beings. Assets, liabilities, and silent lossage. At this stage, I want you to think like a CFO about your leadership. What's the value of your leadership? What's the dollar add of your leadership? Some attitudes, perceptions, and beliefs are assets. No doubt. They compound clarity, trust, and decision quality. Others are liabilities. They once helped you to succeed. That's why they're still here. Hey, that worked in the past, so let me do it again. They once helped you succeed, but now require constant personal involvement to offset their cost. And then there are the silent losses, the ones that, if you're not paying attention to, you don't really recognize. These are the beliefs that you don't question anymore, but they quietly tax your time, your patience, and your strategic focus. The problem isn't that founders have liabilities. It's that most of them aren't being accounted for. They're not on your KPI sheet. Let's move from endurance to design. Most founders I work with are enduring their success. They're in, listen to that, hear that. They are enduring their success. It's not what they thought it would be. They're still profitable. They're respected. They're still standing. We all know that the statistics about small law firms and small businesses failing, they are not in the failure category. They are in the we're still here category. But the firm requires their constant personal presence to keep working. They've bought themselves a job. That's what they've done. And it's a job that is even more stressful than going and working for somebody else. Endurance is an effort-based leadership. It's effort-based. Endurance is effort-based. Staying close, pushing through, absorbing friction. Design is different. Design asks, what needs to be true so this works without me? This is the shift from managing outcomes to from being the architect of conditions, right? The architect of your firm as opposed to the manager of your firm. I wish we could just get rid of managing partner. You don't want to manage, you want to lead, and you want to architect. And that's where leadership stops being exhausting and starts being intentional, starts giving you, we can bring emotion in, starts giving you joy. This question is important. What is this costing me that I'm not accounting for? Every decision that you make, every time you experience stress, all of those things, how you show up, What is this costing me that I'm not accounting for? This is the question that most founders don't ask. Not, how do I optimize this? Not, how do I work harder, not smarter? And there's another thing, another phrase that I despise. I have to work smarter, not harder. No, you need to work differently. Different. Here's the question. What is this costing me that I'm not accounting for? And I don't just mean money. I mean decision quality. I mean strategic patience. I mean the time horizon. I mean optionality. I mean all of it. What is it costing me? When you carry outdated attitudes, perceptions, and beliefs, the firm still works. But it works at a premium you never agreed to pay. It's one of those hidden fees, and it's enormous. This question is where leadership stops being reactive and starts being intentional. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. If this landed, let me know. Take care. Be well.